All right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Khrista-Lee Amor. Welcome, CEO and founder of Amor Bookkeeping, and I help entrepreneurs save time and money. So if you're serious about your entrepreneurship journey, you are in the absolute right place. Go on ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you never miss a beat and so that you can be notified every single time I upload a video. So let's get into why you're here in the first place. I started this CEO series, and no, not Chief Executive Officer, but cultivating elevated outcomes. I truly believe we are the CEOs of our lives before we ever started that business. And our business is only going to go as far as we go. So why not develop ourselves? So I started the series. Last week I talked about playing small, and this week I'm going to pick that button up and talk about the absolute number one skill that CEOs ignore, and that is emotional discipline. So let's get right into it. All right. Everyone talks about strategy, sales, and scaling when they're talking about how to grow as their business. But the number one skill CEOs and honestly people in general overlook is emotional discipline. And here's the truth, without it, none of the scaling, the strategy, and the sales really matter, right? So I'm going to break that down. Why is the secret to cultivating elevated outcomes both in your business and your life? The number one reason is energy shapes outcomes, right? And if you think this one is interesting, you're going to want to stick around until my third point because I feel like that will cement it down to the T. But when you step into a room, your energy shows up before your words do. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever walked into a room and the energy just shift? Either everybody stops talking, that one's probably familiar, or start talking, whatever it is, but you feel the energy of the room when you walk in it. And that's not just the people in the room, they're also feeling yours. So if you're anxious, if you're distracted, if you're angry, people feel it. As a CEO of your business and your life, you're the thermostat and not the thermometer. So the discipline isn't in pretending that your emotions don't exist, it's in managing them so they don't control the outcome. Elevated outcome starts with elevated energy. So we have to make it a point of duty to pay attention to how we're showing up. Sometimes we think that, this person has a reaction to us, but we're not cognizant of how we're showing up. And if you watched my video last week, by the way, if you have not, please check it out. But if you watched the video last week, you noticed that I placed an emphasis on turning the mirror inside. It's not always somebody else. Sometimes it's us. And oftentimes, even if it is somebody else, we have a part that we are playing in the situation to make it what it is. So we need to always take the note of ourselves before we try to look outside on anybody else. All right. This next one is respond versus react. Here's the difference between good leaders and great leaders. Reaction versus response. Yeah, you thought I was going to say something else. No, but for real, reacting is letting emotions hijack your decision making. Responding is pausing, assessing, and choosing clarity. You see that pause? That's where the power lies. I've had many moments where I have reacted out of frustration, out of fear, and I've seen how those situations did not turn out the way that I wanted them to turn out, right? But taking the time to pause, I've also seen the difference. I've also seen the situation turn itself around, just not reacting from my first instinct, saying the first thing that comes to my mouth, even if I feel very justified in that moment. But you feel your power remains within you when you don't just fly off the handle every single time, just like that. And of course, we're not perfect beings. Sometimes it's going to happen, whether it's in business and we have that grumpy client who just wants to micromanage everything and get on your nerves. Trust me, I know. Right? Or in our personal lives with the people that we love dearly, but they just get on our nerves. We also get on theirs, but regardless of who's getting on whose nerves, the point is responding will always do much better. It doesn't matter if somebody thinks that you're not smart enough or you're an idiot or whatever they want to term it, just because you're not giving that aggressive or blatant reaction like everybody else. Your power is within you, and it never left. It never left. And you are actually way more powerful and moving forward in way more strength when you control your responses instead of reacting. All right. This next one is fear is the enemy of elevation. Fear is a silent killer of opportunities, and emotional discipline is how you shut it down. We feel a lot of different emotions every single day, several emotions per seconds, per minute, based on how our days are. So the emotions are a natural thing, but we have to pay attention to those emotions, identify them, but not live in them. All right. I mentioned this quote from Elevation Church last week, and I said it may fail, but I will not live my life in fear. Think about it. How many times have you stopped yourself from applying for something because you think you wouldn't get it? Pitching yourself because you think you didn't fit in, or chasing the next level because you think that you don't deserve it. Maybe you've been told that. Maybe you grew up in that environment that has helped you to shape that thought and you've become that thought. That's not just emotions getting in the way, that's emotions deciding your future. Is that the life? Once we understand that these things are not working, we have to change them. That is our obligations to ourselves and to everybody else that gets to benefit from us being transformed individuals. Okay, so now I realize that my emotions are all over the place. How do I fix it? And I just have one solution. I just have one simple point for this. A couple of videos back, I talked about this concept of repetition being the key to success. Even if something seems like a small task, repeating it will ultimately increase your success in it. And so I want you to apply that repetition concept to this solution that I'm going to provide here. And this solution is I control my emotional discipline by daily practice. What are we going to be practicing daily? Glad you asked. All right. So emotional discipline isn't a one-time thing. It's a daily practice. I'm going to tell you a couple of things that you can implement to be able to control your responses to things. One of these could be journaling. If you're somebody that loves to write out your thoughts and see it on paper, and also a way to express yourself, maybe you had a situation and you didn't say everything that you wanted to say, but you can write it all out. Journaling helps you to see exactly how you're feeling from outside of you. So you're not just jumbling and wondering, you actually can name the emotion and understand what that emotion is and why you felt that way. Another way, and these could all be used collectively or separately, it's up to you. But prior, I don't know about you, but every single time I sit and I have a moment of prayer, even if I get up feeling still heavy, I get to process my emotions in that time. With consistent practice, it's going to help to relieve and slow down your response time. You can actually even pray for God to help you to respond instead of react, literally. Then we have meditation. Maybe sitting in silence is what you need to be able to slow down your thoughts and to slow down your processes so that you can have more calculated responses and not reacting. It could be affirmations, reaffirming yourself that you actually matter and you want to cultivate that discipline within you to respond to life and not react, not give everything outside of you the control, but to maintain the control within. And as simply as breathing, Controlled breathing techniques. There's a lot of videos on breathing techniques that you can use to help to slow your body down and to slow yourself down. They always say, like, in the midst of somebody getting you aggravated, you can just pause, take a couple deep breaths, and then you respond. Maybe you don't even want to say the thing that came to your mind initially, because you've really had even a couple seconds to think about what you actually want to say. So your words really do matter. But practice will help you to cultivate it. It's your emotions are a muscle. You have to train them just like you work out to train your physical muscles. And you do your spiritual workout to train your spiritual muscles. You have to do your emotional work to train your emotional muscles. The CEOs who last aren't the ones who have the best business plans. They're the ones who stay centered when life throws chaos at them. Because one thing you can absolutely depend on is chaos. It's going to happen in some form, shape, or sort. You just have to be prepared. So here's my challenge to you. What's one emotion you know you need to get better at managing? Maybe it's anger, maybe it's fear, it could be anxiety, even comparison. Drop it in the comments and let's grow together. What I want you to really be mindful of and understand this is when we develop these muscles in times of peace, they are there, they are ready for when chaos comes. You don't wait until chaos comes to develop your emotional discipline. You will fail every time. It doesn't matter how much you think, okay, I am going to react in the best way this time. It just takes one situation to show you how emotionally undisciplined you are. Just one. And it's not something that you just do today and forget it. It's not a New Year's resolution. You do it on the 1st of January, then you forget it for the rest of the year because you're good. It's a daily practice because you have to work on yourself daily. At any point, somebody could trigger you and you just go off the handle. Just because you're not practicing. They say what you do in private shows up in public. So let's commit to ensuring that we are working on these things in private. So when we have those conversations and those moments when we get to highlight them, we are ready. So remember, being a CEO of your life means cultivating elevated outcomes, and it starts here with emotional discipline. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I'm also on this journey, so we're growing together, and I love it here. Um, but yeah, if this was helpful to you, hit the like button. If you have not subscribed yet, what are we doing? Subscribe to the channel and share this video with anybody else that could benefit from this content. And if you are an entrepreneur who wants to know more about bookkeeping, you can check the link in my description. I also go live on Facebook on Friday evenings at 6:30 p.m. PST or something around that if I'm a little bit late. But you can join me there as well for that content, or you check out the replay. They're all going to be there and available. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good week.